Hello and welcome to Simuldub Saints, your guide to seasonal anime dubs. I'm your host, Laser Kid, and with me as always is my trusty co-host.
Hello, I am Archangel, lover of cat girls.
You've been listening to our theme song, Wherever I Go, from friend of the podcast, Ampren. Please check out their awesome music, link in the description.
And in this episode, we're shouting out a choice from LK, Louis Rossmann. More about them at the end.
I'm a Clippy too. Alright. In the news! Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle returns to North America and United Kingdom theaters in March 2026. So if you missed it, you've got another chance. And I will say, fantastic film. I think you'll love it if you're a Demon Slayer fan. So it's cool they're giving that another run here. Hopefully it shows up on Crunchyroll soon for people who can't go to theaters for whatever reason. But it's nice that it's getting another theatrical run. It's worth seeing in the theaters. Steel Ball Run, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime, reveals its English dub cast. Wow, JoJo Part 7 already got dub cast going on. We've got a couple of highlights here for our main three characters. We've got Johnny Joestar, voiced by Damian Mills. That's Diablo in Reslime, and Barca in Soul Leveling. Gyro Zappelli, voiced by Kaiji Tang. That's Sanemi Shinizugawa in Demon Slayer. That's the asshole Hashira. And Jinshi in Apothecary Diaries. And then we've got Diego Brando, voiced by Damian Haas. That's Ryoga Hibiki in Rama 1/2, the Netflix 2024 version. And Shinya Momoira in Togo Anki. And then our last piece of news. Reborn as a vending machine, I Now Wanted the Dungeon Dub Season 3 premieres April. The Vendy Boy is back.
The most Japanese of shows.
Absolutely. And it somehow works. It's not the best anime ever, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah. And I actually have a piece of news that might be of very tangential interest to people of LK's vintage in anime fans. My preferred light novel service, among other things, they also do manga and so forth, Bookwalker, English translations of all 30 volumes of Vampire Hunter D, or at least that's how many volumes dropped there. I don't know if there's more, but the LNs for Vampire Hunter D just dropped. So, yeah, if that's of any interest to you, that happened.
Yeah, that is very
I haven't even
exciting.
looked at the previews yet, so I don't recommend them or not. I'll give LK a series link that you can put on YouTube if you choose.
Yep,
All right,
I was actually
there's
just looking for the link. I'd forgotten that you found
and also
that, so I hadn't actually.
Yeah, also the cover art is just
the cover art is
Japanese in the most amazing way. I don't know how to describe the art style. It's beautiful.
I actually do know how to describe the art style in an appreciable way that most people will actually understand, or at least if you're...
Please do.
It's Yoshitaka Amano. And that's the original artist for Final Fantasy before 7.
Oh, okay.
So if you've ever seen old Final Fantasy art, it's the same artist.
Yeah, it's beautiful and stylized, and
I still have a Vampire Hunter D poster that came with a VHS copy of Vampire Hunter D I got way back in the 90s. I still have that poster on my wall right now. I'm looking at it as we talk. And because yes, that art is breathtaking. And it's right above an Ocarina of Time poster, because I'm old. I have old posters.
So,
but yes, that is a fantastic piece of news that I should have thought you mentioned it to me, but I didn't have that on my list. But yes. Fantastic piece of news for sure.
Okay.
Well, that brings us to today's topic. Jack of all trades, party of none. We mentioned this in the last episode, which has not finished being edited or released as we record this, but you'll have heard it before this comes out. I'm getting ahead of the curve because, it's an excuse to do that, might as well. But now we're going to go into the depths on this one because I like it quite a bit, actually. I think this one's one of my. I called it a standout last week, and I meant it. It's a good one, and also the dub finished halfway mark, and it also that was the end of a major storyline, so it's something worth talking about. It's a good point to talk about.
Indeed. I wouldn't call this terribly deep or profound or anything, but damn if it
Oh
isn't fun.
no. It's not super deep, but it's enjoyable and the character writing is really good. These characters are what you go on this journey for. You enjoy the adventures because these people are good people or bad people in some cases, but they're very well characterized, and that is what I consider to be the strength of the show. Which, you know me, I love my character writing, so of course I'm all over this. And our main character is Orundura, voiced by Tom Aglio. That's Toka Mimori in Failure Frame, and Amanso in Teogonia. That's our main character's best friend before things get wild in Teogonia. Definitely a larger role than I'm used to seeing him in, although Toka Mimori was the main character in Failure Frame, so that was a pretty major role as well. Although that dub was late. When we watched Failure Frame, there wasn't a dub yet. But yeah, Orundura is a swordsman who can do other things as well, but he is the jack of all trades. He can do all kinds of little
Yeah.
things.
So there's not rigid. Let's back up a little bit. Okay, there's not
Yes.
rigid classes in this world. There's just what you happen to be good at, and different people have, of course, talents and training for different things. And on the recommendation of this one particularly famous adventurer, who we'll get to meet in a bit, they basically people started dividing themselves into the Holy Trinity of tanks, DPS, and support slash healing.
Well, she added the enchanter role. Their other roles
Right.
were already existing before
Yeah,
that.
it's which is yeah. So this is the idea of support is relatively new here, and there is some healing, but it's mostly buffs as a
Yeah, well,
dedicated
there was
role.
this definitely leans into like the MMO
Hmm.
classes.
Like I
There's
said, the
also
Holy Trinity.
Well, there's more than that. Like, there's also the melee striking. I guess that's DPS. But there's melee
Yes.
damage. There's magic damage. There's range. They really play with it. And oh man, that intro leans into that real hard, and I kind of adore it for that.
What you want, running on to my house, make the best you go, running.
Right. So this guy was part of a very well-known party. So well-known and effective a group that it became known as the Heroes Party.
Indeed.
And when this new learning came around, so to speak, it was decided among the party that they should try this. And even though he was primarily a swordsman and liked being a swordsman, Orin had the best support skills of anybody there. So he was dedicated to being the enchanter. And he wasn't exactly happy about it, but he went along because it worked.
But he was not a dedicated enchanter, so he had shortcomings compared to dedicated enchanters. Um, he had some countermeasures that we
So
learned
it
about.
was assumed.
So it was assumed, and the thing is that he had countermeasures for that, but people with short sights don't see that, and they decided to kick him out of his party for it because he can't keep up with us anymore.
Yeah. So basically, it's the whole trope of your childhood best friend and so forth. It reminds me a lot of the same beats to start with as A rank party.
It does. It does have a lot of the same meats as A Rank Party. I absolutely
Yeah.
agree with you on that. Although much less severe. I don't
Yeah,
actually hate Oliver. I want to smack
yeah. So let's
Oliver.
introduce Oliver Cardiff. So shout out to all
Uh,
of our
I wanted to
He
get
was
into him
in
in a
Wales.
minute, but I guess we can go to him
Yeah,
first.
we're bringing him up first, so let's introduce him first.
Yeah, Oliver
Um,
Cardiff, voiced by Ben George Stegmeyer. That's Abel in The Water Magician and Miharu Furuhashi in Kaiju number 8. And they
indeed,
are
and yeah,
indeed, as you said, childhood best friends.
yeah, he doesn't seem to have gotten to the truly malicious state that his counterpart in the other show did. He just seems
He's
like
short-sighted.
he's got a skull made of concrete.
Yes, there are several moments where light almost shines in, and then he's like, "No, no, 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 no,
Yeah, we'll talk about this later, but I found the perfect metaphor for him, which we'll get to later.
So he is the leader of the heroes party. He is the
Mhm.
titular hero because he has some pretty cool sword abilities. I got to give him his due for that. And compared to some of the other versions of this, especially compared to another contemporary that's right alongside it, he's not evil. He does. It doesn't seem like he hates Orun. He seems like he's just trying to advance in a cold, methodical method without thinking of the details of who you're hurting along the way.
So
But it's
it's, you
not.
know, there's this 100 floor dungeon, and it's all very stereotypical. They got to floor what, 94 or something, and they want to
Something
get
like
to the
that.
bottom,
Oh yes.
which no one's ever done.
No one's ever finished it. But they've gotten the furthest. And so he's been thrown out. And as we start, Orun's working on his own, just trying to see what he can do on his own. And he's on a much lower leveled floor.
Yeah, and
He's
his first decision is screw this. I'm a swordsman again.
yes,
Um,
which honestly I don't blame him for whatsoever.
he is.
He's
They
damn
keep
good
using
at
this
it.
as a term of abuse. They keep calling him jack of all trades, but he's really just. If he hadn't obviously put in like God knows how much work, he would be a Mary Sue. Um,
Yes, they made it very, very clear that the abilities that he has are because he's worked for it. It is shown. It is not just told. And we can also see the exhaustion it does on him when he does everything. This is actually how to do overpowered right.
mhm.
And our first sign of that is when he is trying to leave a lower floor, and well, a bunch of adventurers going. Oh man, we had to leave her behind. Oh no, oh man, he does not like that.
Yeah, they picked up a pug, a rando young lady, just to help them out for the day, and they got in over their heads, and it wasn't malicious or planned or
No,
anything.
they
They
they didn't
just
throw her
bailed,
out. They bailed, and she got left behind.
and he is less severe on them than I would be, but frankly, yeah, he has better things to do, like bailing this young lady out.
Indeed, and this young lady is one Sophia Claudel, voiced by Monica Flatley, who we keep running into. That's
I'm
Anne
not
Shirley, and
complaining.
Anne Shirley. Oh, I'm not complaining either. I love hearing Monica Flatley. She's amazing. She is getting close to me starting to call her legendary because she keeps coming up in all the
Hmm,
right ways. But she's
indeed.
Anne Shirley and Uka Ishimori in Honey Lemon Soda. And Sophia is surrounded. Orun uses his swordsmanship abilities and his enchanting abilities and makes short work of the enemies around her and rescues her. And she is absolutely impressed. As are, I'd say, the audience, but as I was, like, he just goes absolutely Kenshin on these things.
Yeah. And so she is, how old is she exactly? I forget.
Oh gosh,
Early teens, I want to
she's
say.
early. I would say early teens. She's the younger sister of someone else who we'll get
Yep.
into here in a minute. But
We've alluded to
we've
before, but
alluded
we
to her.
haven't
The
met yet.
Yes, the aforementioned enchantress who started that being a major thing. This is her younger sister.
Yeah. Who, well, we'll get into it in a minute, but basically she's thinks she's about to die. She gets bailed out by this reasonably good looking and obviously super talented guy, and so hearts and eyes, she develops an instant crush, and frankly, who can blame her?
I don't blame her. This is literally her knight in shining armor. He saved her life. What I really like about Sophia is we get a lot of detail as the story goes. Someone else who puts in the work. Who she is a little bit of spoils for her head, but she's part of kind of this up and comer group that's the best of the youth group
Yep.
in her clan, and she's not as impressive with the other two on the surface, but she's putting in all the work, and you can see it.
Yeah, so this clan, what was it, like the Silver Rabbits or something like that?
The Night Moon Silver Rabbits, I believe, something along those lines.
Yeah, very very Eastern name, but yeah, so they're large enough that they cultivate. They've got hundreds of members apparently, and they cultivate young talent on an organized and systematic basis, as any large organization starts to do. Um, and so, even though her sister is one of the top people in the guild, Sophia's had to work her way up. Albeit benefiting from her sister's advice and so forth, but she's there because she can do what she's supposed to be able to do.
Night Sky Silver Rabbits, that's the name of the clan.
Okay. And so she was actually in the dungeon because, she was about to, go into the final phase of her training and be into the dungeon, but she wanted to get an early feel for it. So she joined up with these randos she met at the guild, at the Adventurers Guild or whatever, and nearly died for her rookie mistake of, not going out with people you don't know.
Yeah. But that's where that comes in. We might as well go to Sister because Sister does run into them as they're leaving.
Right. As they're leaving, Sister shows up. Where the hell is my little sister? Oh my god, is she dead? What the hell?
Yeah.
And she sees her little sister with some dude she doesn't know.
Oh, she knows who he is. She knows exactly who he is.
Okay. Well, doesn't she think that there's something nefarious going on?
She does, because
she's kind of overprotective.
As far as she is concerned, Orun is a member of a rival clan. She recognizes Orun on sight. And this is, of course, Selma Claudel, voiced by Corinne Sudberg. That's Carbuncle in Once Upon a Witch's Death. And to my shock and surprise, Kozuki Momonosuke in One Piece, which, wow, you want to talk about range. Momonosuke is a little boy. I mean, yes, women do little boys, but wow. I'm very impressed with the range on this voice actress, who I've not heard of before, to be honest. Although clearly I've heard her work. But Selma Claudel is the more experienced member of this clan and everything, and she's got a job offer for Orun.
Yeah, she's she's a member of their like
strongest
top tier party. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
yeah, after
Orun was part of a party.
An awkward misunderstanding. Right. So the Heroes Party thing was independent. So after the aforementioned social tension and realizing that there's nothing, and basically realizing that Orun's on the market, she immediately tries to recruit him, as you might imagine.
He's like, he's not ready for that yet. Yeah. But she does still have a job for him because they're trying to train their younger, newer recruits.
Yep. And he needs some money, so
that kind of works out, yeah. We do get some information that the Night Sky Silver Rabbits had a major headliner that has unfortunately passed away. They've lost him, and so they could really use someone like Orun. So that's why she was so quick to try to recruit him at that point.
Well, also, you just don't let talent like that go.
No, you don't like
organization. It's like, I don't know if they still do this, but back when Google was still a new thing, they were big, but they were still new. This was before they got rid of the "Don't be evil" thing in their employee guide. The founder of it basically said, if anytime he found a talented engineer of anything that was vaguely related to what they did, he would just hire them, because it's like, I'll find you something to do. But there's never enough talent, and I think that's a general. Once you reach a certain size, I think that's a good attitude to have.
Oh, I certainly agree. This leads us to some scene with the Heroes Party, where we've already mentioned Oliver. But the other two members of the Heroes Party we get to really meet is Annalie Wiles, voiced by Elise Bauman. That's Pan in Dragon Ball GT and everything else, pretty much. And Benedictine, the female mermaid in Bye Bye Earth. Annalie is this cocky maid. She doesn't like orders being given by Orin, so she was one of the ones that pushed. She's also the one that really leans on the jack of all trades.
She is a bitch, but she's
She is a
talented
bitch.
enough that people put up with it. To
Except
give her her
for
due, she is a very talented
we're
mage.
not sure about that, actually. She appeared to be, but a lot of what we learn over time is a lot of that came from the buffs that she was being given by Orin on her own. She can't really get even past mid-level magic, so she's not even really that impressive on her own. She was made impressive.
Fair enough. I have to wonder if she was a bitch to begin with, or if she just got full of herself like the others.
My honest guess is they all got very cocky because they were being carried by Orun, but
well, and they had no idea is the thing.
No, there's only one who did, and we'll get to her later.
Yeah, it's not enough, and this just goes to life. It's not enough to just do your job. You need to make sure. Don't be an ass about it, but you need to make sure your boss knows what you're doing.
Yeah, which
this
is
a thing that can happen IRL.
Sometimes.
Right. Well, this is why you turn in status reports and stuff. But at least in the white collar world. But
yeah, in the blue collar world, it's a lot harder to do.
Well, I mean,
but we'll
my
get
advice there. My advice there would be to once in a while ask your boss for advice on something you're doing, even if you don't need it, just so they remember you're actually working.
Oh, you think your boss is going to give you some time? That's adorable.
Depends. I mean, I'm talking about like your direct report.
Oh, I know. I know who you meant. Yeah, I've had bosses where you could do that, but that's rare.
Okay. And apparently the bar for management is lower than I thought.
I have a rant there, but I'll save it for off podcast.
Okay.
At any rate, our last of the Heroes Party that we're going to talk about for now is Derek Mosley. He's kind of their tank. He's voiced by Tom Henry. That's Vince Rafa Redgrave in Trapped in a Dating Sim, The World of Otome Games is Stuff for Mobs, and Margrave Talcone in The Unaware Atelier Meister. I recognize both of those roles, and he does very well in them and here. He's good at being the hard-headed idiot that makes the dumb mistakes. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if Oliver is dumb, this guy is. It's like, how do you know how to breathe?
This guy's a literal meathead.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the new party. So we already have met Sophia. When Orun goes to do his job, she is a part of the party that he is supposed to be mentoring. The entire point of this little excursion the Night Sky Silver Rabbits are doing is they're taking all their junior parties that are up-and-comers through the dungeon with some experienced guides to help them through, and they're going to get to level 50. And the idea is you're going to see how the experts do it at a certain point, and up until that point, the experts are going to be watching what you do and be able to give you feedback. Honestly,
and
genius.
Worst comes to worst, they'll save your ass. But
exactly,
don't make me have to bail you out. Is the thing that will reflect very poorly on your final report.
As someone who's been in a clan and an MMO, this is genius, and they should do this. But I've never seen a clan actually do it. But even for a video game, that actually would be really smart.
Well, at least in an MMO, you generally need, for a raid or something, you need everybody on that thing.
For this, you take them into a dungeon.
Sure. But yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm surprised I've never actually seen this. Although, to be fair,
if I had a big enough clan, yeah, you'd find some volunteers to lead sections in like a B team raid, because you get a big enough clan and you have there's several sections of the weekly raid.
Oh yeah. course, none of us have played WoW in a while. I haven't played since 2014. You haven't played since 2008. 9. At any rate, the other members of the party are Logan Hayward, voiced by Madeline Norton. That's Isha in No Longer Allowed in Another World, and Gremory in An Archdemon's Dilemma: How to Love Your Elf Bride. Honestly, nice to hear her again. And another props. I had no idea this was a lady voice actress, but again, it's a boy, so it makes sense. But I just didn't even notice it. I just thought it was a male voice. So power to you, Madeline. You fooled me. And this young lad is an enchanter, full on, and he knows enough about enchanting that he can tell what it is that Orun is doing, and he goes through the whole ringer. We'll get into this in a minute, but he goes from, "Oh, hey, this guy is their experience. I want to learn from you," to, "Oh, the scandal broke," which we'll get into here in a minute, to, "Oh, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. You're amazing." A very keen observer and a very interesting character for that exact reason.
Indeed, he's going to be something special if intelligence translates into results.
Agreed. And the last of that member is Caroline Inglet, voiced by Rachel Thompson. That's Tama in No Longer Allowed in Another World. And Chika Hattori, that's Chisei's mother in The Ancient Magus Bride. Also good to hear her again. She does great here. Caroline eats too much sugar.
Mm-hmm.
But
She's
in the
peppy.
fun way. She is very energetic, and yet she is responsive to feedback in a ways to help her be better. Although it does take her a minute to fully grok what she's being told.
She's a bit like I imagine you were like as a teenager.
Me?
Yeah, you're kind of like this. Kind of like this
No.
now, at least.
I'm like this now. You're not wrong.
Not quite so hyperactive, but yes, you talk a lot.
Yeah, teenage me was the exact opposite. A switch was flipped right around the time I got out of high school that would maybe start talking a lot. Before that, I was really quiet.
Okay, then. Did not know that.
I thought I told you. I'll tell you about that more later.
Okay.
But
Deep lore
yeah,
here, folks.
Yeah, Laser Kid was autistic, quiet, and hiding in the corner.
Okay.
Anyway,
Just to be fair, Kid Archangel was a bit of an insufferable know-it-all because I didn't realize that just because I find something interesting, most people, it doesn't mean everyone would. That was a major revelation for me sometime, I think in high school, maybe college.
growing up is fun. So this brings us to the aforementioned news. So the Heroes Party do hire a new enchantress. I didn't find much information on her in the usual places, so I didn't really list her. She's not super important, but they find a quote unquote replacement. And they make a huge news article about how they've kicked out Orun and they've replaced him, and how he's incompetent and da da da. They do a real hit piece on him. It's kind of shitty, honestly.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that sort of thing if you're not really attuned to public relations, because it can very easily backfire on you, as indeed it does here.
Well, I can tell you her name at least is Philly Carpenter. I have no English credit for her, so there's that. Thank you, Crunchyroll. Behind the voice actors don't even have her listed. Bianos has her name, so and I recognized her the second I saw her, but yeah, and she's not a useless person, but they do something really dumb to make her useless with them. But we'll get into that in a minute. But this hit piece really does cause some problems for them. The immediate fallback is, well, all the kids have read it. And that's where Logan goes, "Oh, our sensei, our Orun, might not be everything he's cracked up to be. But again, Logan's the observant one and watches him and sees what the he's able to do all kinds of stuff with original spells and debuffs and things that everyone else struggles with. He's able to do. He's actually really impressive, and Logan completely goes the other way on that. This does lead to after the second day, Orun runs into another of his party members who was gone until recently, Luna Flockhart. She's the healer. Luna is voiced by Abigail Blythe. That's Kikoru Shinomiya in Kaiju number 8, and Rika Inohana in Tune Into the Midnight Heart, one of the main girls in that show. Luna is the sweet lady, and she's the one that knows exactly what Orun's been doing. She is aghast when she finds out that the party's kicked him out.
So yet another point of stupidity. Maybe, make sure the entire rest of the party is on board before throwing someone out.
That might
In
be
fact, they had
something to
waited.
do.
In fact, they specifically waited for her to go on her trip to throw Orun out because they knew she'd raise hell. It's like,
Yep.
we're not really thinking unless you're trying to get rid of both of them. In which case, that would make sense. But
Well, and the dumb thing that they do is they decide to take Philly on a high level floor. Not as high as they've been, but like, oh, we subtracted 2 floors. That's enough, right? And they are warned by Luna, hey, we need to go like on a low level floor just to see how we synergize. Oh no, we've been higher than this. This is fine. No, it's not, you dumb butts.
yeah, I'm wondering when Luna's just gonna drop out because
I
it's getting to
think-
that point.
I think after where we cut off is probably where that's gonna happen.
It depends. I mean, she clearly still cares about her comrades, but
That's true.
she knows perfectly well that the party can't work without Orun, and she says so.
Mm-hmm. She absolutely does. She runs across Orun, and she does try to bring him back, but he brings up the news article. That is a line in the sand. He is never going back now. Not that it would have been easy for him to go back otherwise, but I actually suspect without that news article, she might have been able to talk him into it. But with that news article, no, he ain't going back. And that is the immediate consequence of their stupid news article. Like, why would you even do that? People. Anyway, that's Luna. Our last couple characters that I want to bring up are the other chaperones in the Night Sky Rabbits. Anthem, voiced by Kevin Liberty. The only other credit role for him is Mogot's Bladens in Failure Frame. Then there's Bernard, voiced by Drew Kokur. He's a little more newer, but we got him as Castle Guard Captain in New Saga and She-Clan Soldier in Apothecary Diaries. So this is like one of his first named roles, which I gotta say, he actually does a pretty good job.
Yeah, working your way up.
Indeed, I love seeing that. And then we've got Kathy, voiced by Morgan Lee. That's Ganabia Shisha in Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy, and Suki in the Heika story. The three of them are very supportive of Orun, actually, because I think they see what he's doing. They don't really do a whole lot in the plot, but they're there, and they recognize what's going on and such.
Yeah, presumably they're taking care of their own groups of newbies for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. And then just to get the last thing out of the way, we do see Orun visit a general store owner who has been kind of his personal sponsor this whole time. That store owner is voiced by Kenny Green. And he is Kaseki in Dr. Stone and Mjolnir in That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. So that's kind of our voice cast here. But from here, things get very interesting. The Heroes Party and their new member are come across the Black Dragon. Now, the Heroes Party have defeated the Black Dragon, barely, once before, when Orun was with them. But without him,
It's a floor boss. A floor, what, 94 or something like that?
Something.
One of the
The
90s.
highest level they've been to,
Yeah,
whichever
and
one
it
that
is
was,
a
and they're not there.
bitch. It is
Oh
a
yeah,
bitch and a half.
and they struggle against it, and they can't do anything against it. This is where we see where Annalie's spells aren't really doing it. Derek's, stuff isn't working. He's getting bodied. Even Oliver's like divine flash ability that he has it's nowhere near what it should be. And they're all trying to figure out what's going on. What's going on? And Luna's like, "Yeah, I know exactly what's going on." They're like, "What? You know what's going on?" She's like, "Yeah, Orun's not doing all the stuff he normally does to buff you. Well, we've got Philly. She could buff us." Well, Philly's having trouble buffing you all because you have magic resistances that she hasn't learned yet. And Orun had custom spells he'd created, original spells is the term rather, that he used to help you all. And she's not accustomed to any of this yet, so of course she can't compete to that. Oh no, she's better than Orun. Blah 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 blah. They're idiots.
Well, it's being captive of conventional wisdom.
Yeah, that's definitely what's going on here. At
Well,
any
people
rate,
are very prone to this.
unfortunately
It's really
true.
annoying.
So they end up having to run, and they have to use an item called a fickle gate. It's going to drop them in another boss room, but it won't be where the black dragon is, so they're going to use that.
Yeah, it could
And
be it could be literally any floor, but considering they're on floor 90 some, statistically they'll probably be someplace they can handle or at least run away from more easily.
Indeed. Except for the black dragon uses that gate.
Yeah, which nobody thought was possible.
I won't actually hold that against them because
that is not their fault. Nobody knew, because when they go to the guild to report this, they're like, "What?"
Yeah, so as much as I will
even believe them at first, and I don't blame them.
As much as I will give them endless amounts of shit for the things they've done, this is not one of them.
This is not their fault. This is not their fault.
But because that's happening, lives are on the line. They have to go and warn the guild and create an emergency teleport spell to get everyone out, which costs a lot of money.
Right.
And it's obviously going to hit
this is the equivalent. This is the equivalent of hitting the all stop on a very, very high value factory floor for a day or three. It's like, you better be sure about this.
Yeah, it's not what you want to do, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah, well, there's that reluctance in the guild because it's going to cost everyone a shitload of money and get everybody pissed. So,
so they do a lot of hemming and hawing over this, but the long and the short of it is, the dragon does show up where the kids are training, because of course it does.
Right. So we mentioned earlier that at a certain point the kids are not just going to get their own practice; they're going to see how the pros do it.
Yep.
They get to the boss on 50th floor, and all the escorts team up in a party to take down the floor boss while the newbies watch, and they put on a clinic.
Yep.
And then this thing shows up.
They beat the other thing. Before, in the middle, and after, Orin's like, "I'm feeling something weird. What's going on?" He can sense the black dragon coming.
Yeah, doesn't know what it is, but
doesn't know what it is. But something's off. And then the black dragon shows up, and he goes into action. My Hero Academia has a quote that it likes to run all the time in regards to heroism. Their feet were moving before they could even think about it. They were already running to do the heroic work of saving people before their brain could even engage.
That is indeed one brand of in the moment heroism, yes.
And that is what happened to Orandura when the Black Dragon showed up. He was immediately taking action before we even hear him think about. Well, no, that's actually not entirely true, because he does think about it.
His first reaction is everybody to scream, "Everybody run!"
Which is reasonable.
Which
and
they
he does
don't,
reason
which
out.
drives me crazy. I guess they can't.
That the problem is
everyone's just
They
Yeah,
won't. They were shell shocked, but also it was between them and the exit gate. There was nowhere they could have gone.
Oh, right. I missed that part. Okay. So there's that. I think it's also just I don't know if it's like some sort of literal monopressure or just the fact of how scary this thing is. Everyone was kind of locked up except
There was
Oren.
yes,
Even
that
the
was
senior
also a
people, because
problem.
they this is beyond anything they've ever dealt with yet.
The senior people, the at the very least, Selma has seen it because she is in their forward party. However, the last time they saw it, they lost a clan member.
Oh,
There's some
right. Yeah, the guy they were mourning. Yeah,
so there's got to be some PTSD there.
totally. And so basically, Oren tells the seniors to protect the juniors,
You're
and he
skipping a
doesn't
step.
put what?
His first thought is, I could run and I could probably make it. Oh, but if I do that, they're all gonna die.
Yeah, what kind of plan is that?
Well, he immediately is like, oh, he thinks of it, dismisses it immediately, and that's when he takes action.
Yeah, so he's basically like, yeah, I'm gonna solo this thing. Not because he wants to necessarily, but because he doesn't see any other choice.
This man goes absolutely apeshit on the dragon.
He almost
He
kills
uses-
himself.
He
kill this
does.
thing.
He's using all the buffs on himself. He's pushing himself. He's pushing himself. He won't accept the aid from any of the other elder, experienced people. Not even Selma. He just asks them to protect the kids. He is pushing himself, and he makes a point of how if he was in his party, this person would do that. This person would do that. But they're not here, so I have to do it. He is putting everything on himself and pushing himself to the absolute limit in spectacular fashion. It is incredibly well animated. Not just the sort of spectacle of it, but you also see the stress that it puts on his body and how much he pushed himself, both during and in the aftermath after he kills the thing. This guy put himself through the ringer to do it. And it is an absolute spectacle of animation.
Yeah, and it takes a whole episode because it's like, he keeps going up through the gears, and that forces the dragon to go up through the gears, and it's very Dragon Ball, in fact.
Quite. But it is a very good episode. Probably the best of the show so far. But he does it. And that is where we leave off. At the end
Meanwhile,
of episode
because
6.
what I expected to happen, because the so-called heroes party, they were basically told, you need to go down and find this thing and get and kill it. So they're going on and they're thinking, okay, we know Oren's in there somewhere. We're basically going to beg him, and this is mostly Luna's idea. We're going to beg him to help us with this for everybody's sake, at least this one time. And so what I was expecting was this great heartfelt moment, and then the team, whether it as a reconciliation or one last hurrah to take this thing down. But they're about to show up with him just having killed the thing, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And yeah, by the time this episode comes out, episode 7 will have hit. But we have not at this. Well, I have in subtitled, but Ark has not seen episode 7, and the dub's not available yet. But I can say that the next 2 full episodes are all about dealing with the fallout of this whole mess. And yeah, that's where we are with Jack of all trades. Again, this is not the most amazing story ever written, but it's got great characterization. The characters are incredibly engaging, and the story is fun. I definitely think it's worth your time as a Simuldub watcher. You should definitely be watching Jack of all trades party in that.
All right, I think that about does it.
Indeed so. So I've got a shout out to do for Louis Rossmann. If you're not familiar with Louis Rossmann, he owned a repair shop, a PC repair shop in New York, was forced out of New York due to weird New York stuff, and he's now in Texas. And he is one of the main people pushing a right to repair laws in the whole country. If you've seen people with a Clippy avatar, that's because Louis Rossmann.
Can you explain
The-
that? Because I saw that as a
Yes,
phenomenon a while ago.
I can explain it to you.
Thank you.
Louis Rossmann's thing about be a Clippy. Don't be a modern thing where you insist on being in people's faces. Clippy is what he's like, what you should be for all these extra things. Would you like help? No, goes away. Modern stuff. You want this? No, keeps coming at you, keeps popping up over and over and over and over and over. Be a Clippy. Ask if you want it, and if they say no, you go away. So that's what the Clippy thing is. But that was one of the things he was trying to do. Is the Clippy movement is, everyone change your avatar to Clippy to send this message. Be a Clippy. That's what that was about.
Okay. I figured it was some sort of weird thing, but
it's
that's
very
less
much
dumb than I was anticipating.
Louis Rossmann's on the forefront of trying to push for right to repair, for right to ownership. He runs a series of how you're being fucked, and he's talking about all the bullshit. He does a lot of advocacy. He's been taking the lead against Palantir and Flock cameras and stuff. He's one of the guys that's fighting that.
Good.
The channel is well worth your time.
At least as far as consumer rights go, to quote Ross Scott of, Accursed Farms, and also more recently the Stop Killing Games. At one point, in an update video, he summarized, he says, basically, after going into all this, as near as I can tell, U.S. consumer law boils down to fuck you.
Yes. Louis Rossmann, again, his series is How You're Being Fucked. So, yeah, that's a thing. He runs bounties. If a company broke your hardware because they want you to pay a subscription or replace it, he puts bounties out on how to put it back the way it was. This is technically against the DMCA, but he doesn't care. He will pay you to break it so that people can have the things they paid for. This has happened numerous times. Louis Rossmann is an absolute amazing guy. You should definitely check out his YouTube channel, which will be linked in the description.
And I do believe I will.
Indeed. Yeah, Ark, I think you'd love the guy. Among other things he's done, he's got an entire playlist of videos of him just trying to argue with New York. They said that he didn't pay his taxes. He paid his taxes, and he had several years of back and forth with New York State after he left New York State, fighting with them about that, and he's got it all documented.
Well, that's just government, man. But yes, New York as a generality, both New York as a state and also New York as the city are both just weird. And that's partly me being prejudiced because I'm a Bostonian, but it's also partly true. For example, I think they're the only state where you have to where you have to yield while you're in a rotary. You have to yield to people coming into the rotary, which makes no fucking sense.
That's bizarre.
But yeah, New York is weird.
It's more than you know. Check out that playlist for exhaustive details. It's funny if knowing that A, it's not happening to you. B, he got it taken care of. But the long and the short of it is New York had a lien on his business, on his credit, and he suffered through that for 10 years over illegitimate reasons.
I'm Jack's complete lack of surprise. That's just, you can't fight City Hall.
Yeah. So, yeah, check out Louis Rossmann. He's a cool dude. Well, I guess it's time for us to clean up house. So, Ark, where can the people find you?
What have I been up to lately? Just the usual stuff. One little game that I may have mentioned before, but is honestly more of a prototype than anything else. It's like a basis that they're adding stuff onto. And it also just got a slight rename with a shift to publisher, which is a better name. It's called The Boss Gangsters Criminal Empire. And it's basically this semi-isometric, very like Minecraft-esque graphics. And it's like, okay, you show up in this city and you're based out of a nightclub, so there's a little bit of running this well, it's a strip club. Um, but also then you can branch out into dealing drugs, into protection, to this and that. So it's a crime simulator, a crime sandbox. And I've been looking for something like this. Um, and they're very responsive to feedback, because I was playing this, and usually I don't bother with this sort of thing, but I saw a lot of potential there. It was very new, and I just literally started writing out like a wall of text bullet points. They've implemented half of them already, so it's like a month ago. So apparently a lot of them were already on the list, but still, it is, if you want to be part of this or you just want to check it out.
Well,
So
all
yeah,
right
that's
then.
the really salient one. I've been playing a lot of this and that, but nothing really new.
Well, all right then. Good stuff. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at LaserKidPrime. You can find me on Blue Sky at LaserKid. And you can find me over on the Toonami Faithful podcast, where you're actually seeing Arc a little more often because we're watching some shows for that now. So, yeah, come check us out over there. We talk about Toonami. It's good stuff. That's where, of course, friend of the podcast, Sketch, Kuro, Steven, and lots of other awesome people talk about Toonami. So check us out there. As for Simuldub Saints, you can find us right here on YouTube, which is the main home of the podcast. But you can also find us over on Spotify Podcasts and several other podcast platforms that pushes out to for the audio version of the podcast, which I do recommend the video version, as I put in lots of little things to help make it more interesting. However, the audio podcast is certainly there for you if that is your preferred way of listening to us. Nothing wrong with that. Also, we've got a Facebook group if you want to watch us on Facebook. That is linked on YouTube and Spotify Podcasts if you're interested in such things. Primarily, I just post saying, hey, here's an update. We're up. So, yeah, that's where you can find all of our awesome social media presences and the podcast itself. Well, that about does it for this week's episode of Simuldub Saints. So, until next time, catch you later.